Good morning, good morning. It is a wet Thursday morning here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And as I'm driving, I just dropped off my son at his grandmama's. As I'm driving back home, God began to speak to me. I just want to share with you all what he's speaking to me about today. We're looking into the story of the lame man at the pool of Bethesda. This is I believe it's in the Gospel of John. I probably should have looked it up before I began this video. It just came to me and God just started speaking to me, so I immediately decided to record. So look it up after we're done here. It is a story of Jesus who encounters the man who had been lame for 38 years. And he's at the pool. This is the pool that has 5 pillars around it. This is the pool where the lame, the blind, the sick, they're all gathered around this pool. And it's said that there's an angel that comes and stir up the water. And if you get up in that pool fast enough, if you're the first one to get up in there, you're made whole. So here is the lame man, and Jesus encounters him at this pool, sitting. Jesus walks up to him and say, "Do you want to be whole? Do you want to be healed? Do you desire to be healed?" And of course, the man replies with his situation, his excuse. "Well, this is what happens. I don't have anyone that takes me into the water when it's stirred up." But that wasn't the question. The question was, "Do you want to be healed?" And the man replied with excuses. Let me ask you a question. Why did Jesus ask him if he wanted to be healed? Why? Why did Jesus ask him that? And why did he reply the way he replied? Well, let's start off by saying that Jesus knows everything. Jesus doesn't ask questions just to ask. He's kind of like a lawyer. He doesn't ask questions in which he doesn't know the answer to. Lawyer 101. If you don't know the answer to the question, don't ask it. Jesus knew the answer to the question, and he asked it not for him, not for his own knowledge, but to stir up something in this man's heart. What is that thing he was trying to stir up? This man had been lame for 38 years. This man had been there for 38 years. And when Jesus asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" he replied with his excuse, his reason. Jesus had seen in this man's heart already that the man had literally become his situation. His situation had become what he depended on. The sympathy of others was what he was thriving off of. He had been so lame and for so long, and folks would come by, maybe give him money, maybe look at him and give him sympathy, maybe pray for him. Folks paid attention to him. He was a vocal point. He'd been there for 38 years. That's a long time. People saw him on the regular as they came through that area. So he had a lot of attention, a lot of sympathy, a lot of prayer, a lot of folks listening to his sob story. And that is what he thrived on. That is what gave him purpose. He had, at this point, a victim mentality. And that victim mentality is what gave him life, in a way. That is what he thrived on. People seeing him as a victim. Woe is me. Do you know we can get so caught up in our situation, in our brokenness, that Jesus has to come and ask us the same question. Do you want to be healed, or do you just want to keep talking about how crappy your life is? Do you want healing, or do you want sympathy? Do you want to be whole, or do you want somebody to carry, do you want to be on a crutch forever? Sometimes we leave a situation, let's just say a relationship. That's the first thing that's come to mind. We leave a bad relationship, and for years we'll continue to tell the sob story of how they broke our heart or how she did us dirty. And somebody's like, "Yo, are you not over this thing already?" And then even somebody says that to us, we get upset because, oh, how dare you? This is my story. But God is saying, it's over. Get up and walk. Stop laying on this, or rather stop using this sympathy story, this lameness as a crutch. Because after a while, you're not even going to want to be whole. You may say you want healing, but healing means that you don't get to have sympathy from others anymore. People won't pay attention. You won't be in this place anymore. You can't tell that sob story anymore. You can't tell about how much you've been victimized anymore. You're no longer the victim. And being the victim sometimes is so much more comforting than being the victor. Because when you're the victor, you got to get up and walk. There's no one holding you. You're doing this thing on your own. You're responsible now. No one is like, oh, look at them. They're trying so hard. Oh, pity you, pity. Oh, I know they broke your heart. Oh, no one is crying for you. No one is looking your way. No one is praying for you. I'm not saying they don't ever, but I'm saying you're not the vocal point anymore. You're on your own. You're living life. You're strong. And people can walk by you and not say anything because you're strong. We can be so broken like this man was that Jesus has to come and ask us, do you want me to heal you? Do you want to be whole? Or do you just want me to come and sympathize with you? Do you want a solution to the problem? Or do you want to just continue to rehearse the problem? In our culture today, in our society today, where brokenness is like the thing we victimization is the thing we love to put on TV and media. And that's what we highlight. Even you go to therapy, they tell you to bring out those things that they try to bring out those things that broke you when you were young. And though there is a method to that madness, here's the thing. If you keep rehearsing the same sob story, you begin to rely on that story as your story. And healing is far from you. It is when you it is when you let go of your sob story. It is when you say, you know what, I was hurt, but I'm moving forward. It's when somebody say, what happened? You say, you know what, it just didn't work out. Rather than rehearsing, well, you know, they broke my heart just to get sympathy. The man was asked, do you want to be whole? Do you want to be healed? And he began to do the same thing he's been doing for 38 years. Well, here's my story. 38 years ago, blah, 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 blah. I can't get nobody up here to help me out. This is what they did to me. This is what the man says. You know how they got me dirty. You know what I'm saying? I can't get anything right. They called me this 38 years ago and it still hurt my heart. It's their fault. It's their fault. It's this person's fault. Expecting Jesus to be like, oh man, okay, I understand, you know. Jesus said, look, man, get up and walk. Get up. Like, leave this thing alone. Get up, take your mat and walk. Take up, be in control of your situation that is holding you. He was laying on this mat as his sob. That was the thing that's supporting his lameness. This mat is supporting his lameness. The mat was his crutch. The mat was his story. This is what I am. Take control of your sob story. Take it by the horn. Get up and walk and move forward. Jesus wants to heal us. The question is, do you want to be healed? Do you want Jesus to heal you? Or do you want to just keep being in that situation? Do you want to be seen as the victim forever? Or do you want to actually be seen as the victor? It's a decision within your heart. Victimization is addictive. Because that means you can blame everyone else but yourself. Being a victim feels so good. That means you're not responsible. That means you're a product of your situations of life, and it's not your fault. Some people would rather be a victim because it's too hard to be healed. and be a victor. Are you? Are you that person? I pray you're not. Let's check this out. As we read further, this man gets up and walks. Later on in that story, Jesus sees him again in the temple. Listen to what Jesus says to him. He says, look, man, you have been healed. Now stop sinning, or else something worse is going to happen to you. You gotta ask yourself, why would Jesus say that to him? What was he doing for Jesus to say that? Well, if we try to connect the context, this man was lame for 38 years. Jesus said, do you want to be healed? He gave Jesus a sob story, indicating that this man had become accustomed for 38 years to being a beggar, to telling people a story. Even if that wasn't the question, Jesus didn't say what happened to you. Jesus says, do you want to be healed? And he went into autopilot, doing the same thing he normally does. Well, here's my story. He was accustomed to a lifestyle of begging, a lifestyle of victimization, a lifestyle of lameness. And so he didn't even understand what healing felt like, or how to even handle wholesome or wholeness or healing or being whole. So Jesus catches him at the temple again. And if we fill in the blanks, most likely he had gone back to begging. The same thing he's been doing for 38 years. This is what he was used to. He was used to being a victim. Jesus had just told him to get up and walk. Later on, Jesus catches him back to the same place it was at, back to something he's used to. That's why Jesus said, do you want to be healed? Because it looks like you love this life of begging. So Jesus catches him doing that, and he says, look, dude, I healed you, man. You're whole. You can walk now. Stop sinning. What do you mean stop sinning? What am I doing? Stop it. This is not the life for you. Stop telling your sob story. Stop being a victim. Stop relying on sympathy. I know you're used to it. You can now walk. You're now victorious. Walk in the victory I've given you. You're not a slave. You're not a victim. You're not less than. You have been made whole. I made you whole. Walk in that authority. But if you continue to seek sympathy from everybody else, because you are used to it, and it feels better for people to look at you and say, oh, poor you, poor him, something worse is going to happen to you. Guys, we're in a culture, we love people to hear our sob story. But when we encounter Jesus, the one who died on the cross so that we can be whole, so we can be healed, so our brokenness can be made complete. When we encounter Jesus and he touches us and we say we know him, he is not pleased when we still live a life of victimization. I don't care what is happening to you. You must take on a mentality of victoriousness, of a champion. You have been given victory. You're not a victim, y'all. I don't care what society says about you. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. And as long as you continue to play that victim role, I don't care if someone is actually doing something to you. You have the audacity, the right, because Jesus Christ gave it to you, to be victorious. No one needs, rather I would say, you don't need to continue to seek sympathy from others. That will keep you lame. That will keep you seeing things a certain way. Rise up and walk. Rise up and walk. Stop begging. Stop sinning. Or else something worse is going to happen to you. Guys, let's get this thing right. Oh man, it's not easy out there, y'all. It's a lot of racism. It's a lot of sexism. It's a lot of isms. But guys, you don't have to be a victim to it. It all depends on how you think of yourself. If you're in relationship with Jesus Christ, the sovereign King, man, nobody can stop you. You're not a victim. Live your life of a victor. Live it victoriously. Rise up and walk. Amen.